Hey!
Hello. We are on Anna's laptop since mine doesn't work. Camera doesn't work anymore.
Aw, sadness. Of course. It's funny because by the time this gets uploaded, that won't matter.
Yeah.
No one will be able to tell the difference. But you should know anyway.
Yeah. We just want to let you know.
Yeah. So this is...
Top 10 movies of the year, or favorite movie, top 10 favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What it says in the title. It'll be a little different because Adam watched movies this year and I did not. I saw, because the list is for films that came out specifically in 2024, and I apparently only saw 8 movies in 2024, and one of them is not going anywhere near this list because it was Madam Web.
I said you can't put that on there.
Yeah, it's Madam Web. Madam Web is not on my list because it's fucking Madam Web. So, I will start chiming in when we get to number 7. In the meantime, this is going to be the Adam Show, so take it away.
Well, before I get into that,
Oh, sure.
I didn't want to do a separate video of worst films because a lot of films that people didn't like this year, your Joker or your The Crow or Borderline, I didn't watch any of those films just because, okay, it sounds horrible.
They look like crap, yeah.
Or I'll watch them on streaming at some point, but didn't watch them before the end of the year, so that's my cutoff. If I haven't watched a movie before the end of the year, I don't include it in my thing. Sure. But I will talk about at least 5 films that I saw that I thought were just really bad, and I can tell a few reasons for that. We can start with Madam Web.
Sure.
I think that would probably be the worst movie I've probably seen almost.
It sucked.
It was so bad.
We made, I think, 2 sketches about how bad it was on the channel.
Yeah.
It was bad. Like, what? I don't know what else really needs to be said. It was bad. It sucked.
Yeah. It was just. I mean, yeah. I think didn't we do a review?
Oh yeah, we already did a review for this. So yeah.
We won't go to. You can watch that review on.
Yeah,
channel.
watch that review.
But yeah, no, I just, and I also have a sore spot for it because I innocently made a comment on Facebook.
God.
Because one of the actresses came out and says, "Oh yeah, it's because they hate women," and it's just like, oh my god, this again. And it was like, or maybe the movie's bad. That's literally all I said. And then it was like a freaking paragraph after paragraph of people like, oh, blah 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 blah. And it's like making references to other movies that I'm like, no, we're not comparing Madam Web to those movies. This movie is terrible.
Yeah, Madam Web is the worst movie we saw all year.
Yeah.
Next.
And that's Sony. Anyway. Unfrosted. This was a Jerry Seinfeld project. Now, like I said, I was a Seinfeld fan. I grew up watching Seinfeld. Love Seinfeld. Still watch that today. I'm personally one of the few people who actually like some of his stand-up. I actually had his on Broadway CD and all that stuff. I like it. But everything he's done post-Seinfeld, the B movie, what the fuck was that shit? And this movie, I thought, okay, I'm going to give it a watch. You know, see what it is. It did have a lot of comedians in it, some talented people, so I'm like, all right.
It's like a parody of how Pop-Tarts were invented, I think.
Essentially, yeah. It's like a fake mockumentary type of story of how Pop-Tarts were invented and post the other company trying to come up with an alternative or something.
I've seen one scene from it.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah, Hugh Grant plays Thoreau Ravencroft, which is kind of, he's decent. But I literally started watching it, and then, I think I just remember, I fell asleep, and then I woke up, and it was almost over, and I was like, oh, that must have been really exciting for me. And it was like, I wasn't invested enough to really watch it, so I'm like, it was probably just stick to stand-up Seinfeld. Tarot. Oh, Tarot. PG-13 horror. Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily the death knell for a horror film, but you have to do it well.
It's just, it was just like, you think when you hear tarot that you could do something creative with it and actually make some effort. But I think it was a Blumhouse thing, because, Blumhouse just puts out lots of great horror films. On occasion. But then they also put out Imaginary and Afraid and Night Swim, and which I didn't see any of those, but they look pretty bad. But anyway, Tarot is basically they're playing off. Everybody was killed by something of a tarot card. Like that was how their death was. But like
so like Final Destination, but with tarot cards
and lack of creativity and actual.
Yeah, hints. Yeah.
Final Destination actually showed the deaths.
Oh my god! Because it's
then just
PG-13.
Off-screen deaths basically, and then one character just for some reason survives, even though he absolutely should have died. But like, it's just like, I mean, do you understand that when you're putting a slasher out, even if it is a PG-13 or people are used to seeing blood and people dying.
It's
kind of the thing. It's why we go to. It's not the only reason we go to see the film, but it kind of what we're expecting.
Yeah, so. Like it's a subgenre that really like subsists on its death scenes, so you need to have good ones. Yeah. All right.
I have two more, and then we'll get into the actual makings.
Okay.
All right. I didn't want to do a full worst films.
Gotcha.
Time cut. What if you took the idea? I mean, granted, this was apparently the idea for them first before the Amazon one that we watched with it's called the Back to the Future horror concept.
Oh, right, yeah.
What if you took that idea, but made it like it was made by Nickelodeon? What? That's what you get with Time Cut. Because it's basically kind of the same premise as that other one that was out last year. That was actually pretty good. But totally killer. That's what it was.
Totally killer.
Now this would apparently this one was actually written before that one. Mm-hmm. So in a sense, I guess technically they were
like when people take an idea at the same time,
which is fine. That
happens. This is the one where because like in Totally Killer she goes back to the 80s.
Yeah.
And in this one she goes back to the early 2000s, like 2002.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And so it's just which is fine, but like
because it was her older sister that got killed. Got it.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
all right.
And it's like the acting was really not very good, and it's like I've seen the one actor in a few things. He was in this one really bad Netflix movie, The Tall Girl. He was the he was the guy that
the love interest.
Yeah. I mean he's fine, but like it was just really not well done and just really. It felt very generic. And I mean, it felt like a very much Netflix. We just threw some money at this. Okay, cool. But not really made an effort. So, all right. And now for this, that might go into the more overrated than worst films. I've seen a lot of people talk about this film of like how great it is and how I saw the TV glow. I saw my eyes go closed, is what I would call it.
I saw my eyes go
What a boring, pretentious pile of shit this movie was. And if you liked it, great. I thought it sucked. I didn't understand what the fuck they were trying to do with it. It felt like they were kind of doing what they did with Channel Zero, with the TV thing.
Right, yeah.
But that was actually interesting. And well done, and that was on fucking Shudder.
Well,
and it
was like a couple episodes.
And I guess a lot of people have said that it was like it was supposed to be about the trans experience or something like that. Which great if that
I have not seen this.
If that's what you got out of it and you liked it, great. I just did not get it. I did not. I was just like, is this over yet? It was just, and it's just a bunch of glowing TV shit. There's no. It's just.
Okay. All right.
Not for me.
Not for you.
Okay, so now I will get to my 3 honorable mentions before I get to the top 10.
All right.
I'm going to stretch this out because I have waited a long time.
Okay, go for it.
All right, so my 3 honorable mentions will be Maxine, which was the third movie in the trilogy with Pearl and X. I like this movie. I like there were some influences from Body Double, which was one of my favorite 80s movies, which the story of Body Double, let me just quickly segue into it, was me and my brother and sister. My dad had a lot of VHSs. He would record a lot of things out of Cinemax or HBO and put it on VHS. That's how you did things back in the 80s, in the old times. So, my dad slept during the day, much like me, he worked overnights, and my mom would be working during the day too. So a lot of times we're kids, school's out, and we're bored and want to watch something. Yeah. So we put this movie Body Double in, and it starts out with like him as a vampire. We thought it was like a horror film, and then it turned into like this erotic thriller, which is totally an appropriate thing for a 5 or 6 or 7 year old to watch. But regardless, that's Melanie Griffith in it too.
Yeah.
But I could definitely see when I heard the review of it, like that the director had some influence from Body Double. I'm like, all right, cool. Which Body Double itself has a lot of influences from Vertigo
And Rear Window.
Yeah. So it's a De Palma film. This was pretty good. I would say that I definitely liked Pearl better, though. I think Pearl was the best of the trilogy by far. This was pretty much even with X, but it was also sort of predictable. If you saw the end of X, you kind of sort of saw where this was going to continue on. Mm-hmm. And she still gave us a good performance, but not as good a performance as she gave us Pearl. Because like with Pearl, it was shades of Psycho's ending. Because there's that like the credits, she's just like staring like this at the credits, very much like Norman Bates, you know, at the end.
Yeah,
of Psycho.
that.
It's just like that kind of like I'm staring at the camera and
like,
into your fucking soul,
right?
You know. And she got a good performance, so it was good. It had some good actors in it, of course, and there was a nice '80s feel to it too. And I like the one thing I did like about it is they sort of tied the killer that was killing people in California.
Oh, the Night Stalker.
Yeah. They tied him into it, but he wasn't an actual character like American Horror Story did. You know. So it didn't really play.
He was a red herring.
Yeah, it was basically a red herring. So like, it was there as the backdrop, but it wasn't like, hey, let's have an actual character play him, because that'll be fun for the victims who got killed by him. So I really respected that, because when I first heard they were I was like, oh, please don't, you know, please don't Tarantino this shit.
It was it was a plot swerve.
Yeah. So it was a solid movie, not a disappointment, but just not quite as strong.
Gotcha.
As the other one. The next one is called Abigail. I saw this one actually on Amazon on streaming. I rented it because it was out of theaters by the time I decided to see it. So this basically, this one guy said it reminded me of Lost Boys. I think it reminded me more of Dusk Till Dawn, because it starts off with these kind of like characters that are going to try to do a heist out of this house, basically, and then there's this little girl that's there, and of course, if you saw the trailer, she's a vampire. It's basically sort of a take off of Dracula's Daughter a little bit. If you ever heard Dracula's Daughter, Universal film, it's very much a little bit take of Affleck that she's a little girl instead of being
a grown woman.
And there was a lot of good violence. There was a lot of good comedy in it, and it has the girl that was in the Scream remake that everybody canceled because she criticized the whole Israel conflict and whatever. Not going to get into that.
Anyway.
I'm just making points.
Okay.
You don't have to say anyway.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, don't do that to me when I'm talking, honey. That's rude. Very rude! I love you, though. Anyway. We're a very loving relationship. I just want to make sure. Adam is angry.
We're fine.
Everything? No, it was just because I was talking.
All's good. Yeah.
Like,
I got it.
And I was getting to the point of just like, no, we're not going to get into the whole controversy thing there. I was just saying that.
Yeah, I got it.
Actress.
All right.
So, anyway, solid film. Decent thing. Decent action, decent all that. Good horror effects and stuff. And had some good comedy to it as well. So decent movie. But honorable mention. My last honorable mention would be Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Because we saw this it's fucking March or something. I don't know. It just felt so long ago. I'm like, oh yeah, that did come out last year. Not a bad film. Not as good as Afterlife. But Afterlife had that kind of emotional connection with Egon and stuff like that. This was still solid. You had the old school Ghostbusters, had a bit more of a role in there. Besides Bill Murray, who just kind of popped in there, in and out. And I like the idea of the Frozen thing. I think that was a nice, creative idea. And then the main character, Egon's granddaughter, connected with the ghosts and all that. I think there were some good ideas, but it did feel a little not quite as strong. Still better than 2016, but we'll get into that whole rant. But but I didn't like. I left the theater thinking, oh, it's decent, but it wasn't like, man, I need to see more. It did feel a little overstuffed at times, I think.
There were a lot of characters.
It was nice to see Walter Peck back.
Yes.
It was great to see him again. But yeah, of course, Annie Potts. But yeah, if they do more with it, they do more with it. But I think they gotta balance it out better because there was just too many characters. I think that was the only thing. It's like you get like sort of like where your Marvel movies are like, we've got 30 characters to fit in this goddamn thing, and we're gonna get them in there.
Right.
It's like whether you want them there or not, or whether you need them there or not, we're gonna stuff them in there. Okay. All right, now we go into the actual top 10 now.
Cool.
Adam is done babbling on.
Cool. No, you're gonna keep babbling because I did not see enough.
Three.
I did not see enough films to make a top 10.
Okay. So I will just mention right away, guys, that a lot of these are horror films are in my top 10 because there was a lot of strong horror.
There was.
Some of the best movies I think this year were horror films. Mm-hmm. All right. So my first one is not a horror film though. Number 10 is Knox Goes Away. This was a smaller, I guess, independent film, but it has Michael Keaton as an aging hitman who actually has started to have like dementia.
Oh yeah. I remember you were watching
this. So
this.
he's having these kind of like blackouts, and like he's trying to remember things and like how did this happen and what happened here, you know. There's one scene where he accidentally shoots his partner because he just like, you know, he blacks out and then just suddenly like this guy with a gun on him. So Al Pacino is also in it too. He's kind of his like, I think kind of the guy who's hires him for stuff. He's trying to help him. He also has a son played by what the fuck's his name? He played Cyclops in X-Men.
James Marsden.
Yeah, James Marsden plays his son. And there's kind of this whole there's this interesting angle in there where you think that his son has killed this person, but it turns out he's remembering it wrong and he actually killed the person. He has this relationship with this hooker, I think, where she likes to read his books and all that. So like, but you know, he had basically written a will, you know, because he knew he was starting to fade, that he would leave money to his ex-wife and his son and this hooker.
Sex worker.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
What do you do? Like, it's in the context of the thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know. See, this is what happens.
Okay.
Anyway, but anyway, toward the end or whatever, like the hooker sex worker ends up like betraying him essentially, and so like it doesn't work out. He ends up killing the guys anyway. But then he just ends up, instead of getting some money, he just leaves her his books. So, you know, she got hers. And he actually ends up going to prison at the end to basically, because of, you know, killing these people and all that, and his hitman cast and all that falling out. But it's this very interesting thing, and, you know, for someone whose grandfather had dementia and all that, watching, you know, and Michael Keaton gives a great performance, a very underrated performance for the year. And it was a solid movie. There was definitely some emotions there too when you're seeing him struggle with this, because it's tough to watch someone with going through that.
Yes,
stuff.
it is.
It's actually one of my biggest fears. So yeah. Anyway, moving on. Number 9. It's another movie I saw by myself. Sometimes I just go to a movie by myself because some people are tired or don't want to go, which is fine. You know, if she ever wants to do that herself, she can do that too. Although I like to go movies with you. So.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Terrifier 3 at number 9. So, like I said, we're getting into the horror.
Yeah.
So, somebody else had pointed this out in their video that the first Terrifier was decent, but like it wasn't like, okay, I'm hooked on this. It was like, okay, it was very graphic and gory. Interesting character, Art the Clown, you know. But then you saw the second one, and it was like, okay, now we have a final girl that we're really focusing on. There's some lore, there's some stuff going on, there's some good humor in here as well. And this movie just like takes that and just amps it up. One of the best times I had in the theater. Just the crowd was into it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the kills were very violent, but also very funny because Art the Clown. I think I compared Art the Clown. I'm like, he's like Michael Myers with Freddy Krueger's personality. Because he doesn't talk, but like he's got that kind of comedic, you know, mime face and all that you can like. That would be very Freddy Krueger like. So yeah, and like I said, the final girl is really talented. She's good in it too. So there's like, and they definitely left it open for another one too to kind of continue the story and all that. But yeah, it's definitely very graphic. So forewarned, if you don't like a lot of gore, you won't like it.
Don't watch this, yeah.
Yeah, but Art the Clown is worth the price of admission. Definitely a good another. It's nice to have another horror character that's, you know, we haven't had one of the strong ones in a while. So
yeah,
yeah. So
who's like you know, has a very graphic.
Yeah, and I feel like the guy
look.
playing Art the Clown has really gotten into the character and really gives his all and stuff like that. I've seen some like video on YouTube of him doing these scenes as the Joker.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
I mean, yeah, he's a trained actor.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think wasn't he trained as a mime or something?
Yeah. That's why it's always kind of funny when they call him Art the Clown. I'm like, but he's not talking, so is he in a mime or is he a clown? But anyway, that's another thing. Also, number 8 then. Okay, moving into 8, and then we'll finally get to you.
Oh, okay.
You
Cool.
get to do your 7 movies.
Yay.
So number 8, this one was actually a surprise for me because when I saw the trailer, I thought, oh, this looks like a really bad cash grab sequel.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, they're overacting. It doesn't. This looks like it just from the quicks of the trailer, it looked kind of ridiculous. I'm like,
It did, yeah.
It's like this is gonna be bad. But I was happily. My friend recommended. He says, no, this is actually pretty good.
And what is it?
Smile 2.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually going into it, I was like, all right, but then my friend said, no, you gotta check it out. It's pretty. And I have to say, guys, yeah, no, they did it. I didn't realize also that the original director was involved. So like original writer, original director. I think.
Yeah, it's the same creative team.
Okay,
yeah.
so that helps too, because when I first saw it, like, oh, it must not be the same person. Like it's just some person like, oh, we gotta make a sequel. This dude gotta make a sequel. You know, so we have a story. It doesn't matter. We'll throw it together. But no, this one actually it does pick up from where the first one left off. So we do see the character that was left alive at the end of the first one, and they tie his story up. But yeah, it definitely takes it to another level, and it really plays really well with it. Really kind of messes with your mind all that too about when this is happening, what's real, what she really seeing, and the actress gives a good performance too. She does really good with it. Because the first one I thought, well, she seems in the trailer, I'm like, oh, she seems like she's kind of overacting a little bit, but actually, when you think about, it's really about her trauma and stuff like that. She's already had
like
this
in
trauma.
context, yeah.
In context, besides all this happening, there's this trauma going on, obviously, and the relationship with her mother is really fucked up, and it's just a really, and she's a pop star, so there's this whole like dynamic, and she's had these meltdowns and things like, so it definitely talks to the whole kind of, your Britney Spears type of meltdown, type of thing, and it plays into that really well, and some good side characters as well. The actress that played her best friend, I've seen her in a couple of things. She's pretty good too. And the ending is very like, oh yeah, they definitely set up. I remember the person in the crowd, this woman that was like, well, they got to set up for the sequel. And it's like, yeah, they definitely went all out. It's going to be a hell of a sequel.
Cool.
So yeah, no, I definitely appreciated it. I'm glad. I was happy that it was actually a good sequel. So
cool.
Good job.
Yay.
Okay, before I go to my number 7.
Number 7.
What do you got, honey?
Okay. My pick for number 7. I mean, again, I did not watch many films this year, apparently. So my pick for number 7 is controversial yet brave.
Stunning and brave. I don't know.
Would I consider it a good movie? Like, objectively speaking, probably not. Did I have fun watching it? Yes. The film is Venom: The Last Dance.
Fair.
And it was one of the most fun things that I had in theaters this year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like
I didn't have it on my list at all.
It's fine.
It was one because when I was going through the 26 movies that I saw, I was like, I liked it. I had fun.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have put it on my.
Yeah, again, I did not
but
see
you had only seen 7. So.
many films. Yeah, so I'm going to give a little bit of praise to Venom: The Last Dance. Again, is it a great movie? No. Is it a little on the dated side? Yes. In terms of its feel and its presentation. But Tom Hardy, he's just so good.
Yeah.
In the role, like you can tell, like it means a lot to him.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what carries it through. Like the fact that it like he actually does make you feel for Venom.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The pixelated pile of goo that he is. It was just fun. Again, was it great? No, but it was fun. So that's my number 7.
Nice. Yeah, I it's not on my list, but I enjoyed it too. We had a good time in the theater, and it was fun. It's about the only good thing Sony's put out.
Yeah.
In terms of that universe.
Yeah.
Everything else was just wow. And something as Craven could have been good with the right people on.
Of course, we don't really know because we didn't see it.
Well, we didn't, but I'm just saying, like, the actor is
right.
giving,
yeah.
giving what he can.
What's your number 7? Since it's not Venom.
Okay. Mine would be Deadpool and Wolverine. See?
Oh.
See, a lot of people think immediately, because we're kind of that immediately I would put that as number 1, but it was not.
It was not.
But that doesn't mean that I didn't really enjoy it. This was also a very good time in the theater. We went with our friend Josh, who's a huge Deadpool fan. And yeah, I've seen a lot of people criticize that it's like, oh yeah, it's just all a bunch of cameos and there's no story. I'm like, but no, there's a story, guys. You just have to actually pay attention. Anyway, I'm just kidding. But no, yeah, does it tie into a lot of the Marvel MC universe? No, because it wasn't supposed to. It was supposed to basically be sort of a celebration and a farewell to the Fox universe. That's the entire plot of it. And yeah, is it the most elaborate story and plot? No. But that's not what you're looking for in a Deadpool film.
And
it's Deadpool.
Yeah, and they don't all have to be.
No, they don't. They don't. That's it. Variety is the spice of life, as they say. And that's nothing wrong with that. And like I said, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman play well off each other. It was cool to see Hugh Jackman in the actual Wolverine costume instead of black leather. And he's still good, and he's great in Logan, of course, but like he gives a good performance in this as well. He's a Wolverine that feels like he failed and stuff like that. Let the X-Men down. You do get a lot of great character cameos. You get Chris Evans as Human Torch, who literally I've heard he did this movie just for that cursing scene.
That's awesome.
They said he could curse, so he said, all right, I'll do the film. You got a good villain in Emma Corrin, who does a great job playing. What was our character's name? Because she's Professor X's.
Professor X's sister. That's the
Cassandra Nova. That's what.
Yeah.
Okay. A good character, and she does a good job with it. And you got a couple other cameos in there. Sabretooth pops up, and Juggernaut is there briefly. It's not the same actor, but it's like,
it's the same mentality of X-Men 3, where you're like, freaking really?
Right. Pyro's in there. He's actual actor from X-Men 3. And then you get your big cameos. You get Blade. We get Elektra. We have Channing Tatum as Gambit. And then of course X-23 comes in, which is cool.
Yeah, it was cool to see her
20.
back.
That actress just turned 20.
Yeah, do you feel old yet?
It was good to see Daphne King in something that wasn't crap, Acolyte. Not her fault by any means.
Right.
So no, it was a fun movie. I had a good time in the theater. Laughed a lot, which is what you want to get in a Deadpool film.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool.
So that's my number 7.
Awesome.
So into number 6 for you.
My number 6 was Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
Oh, nice.
And I think you already said everything that I wanted to say about the film.
Okay.
So I'll just, it was fun. Something I appreciated about the film is that it finally fulfills Dan Aykroyd's dream of the idea of the Ghostbusters team, like, spreading out and having different stations, and this idea that they're actively building a team. I thought that was cool. It did lead to the problem of there's a lot of characters to keep track of. And they're not all fully fleshed out. But I appreciated they were back in New York. I appreciated that they were doing something new with the plot. And that was cool. But yeah, otherwise you pretty much said everything else. So
McKenna Grace is really good, though. I do like her.
She is, yeah, she really is. So with that said, you're number 6.
All right. Now this may come as a surprise that this is all the way at number 6, but it doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it.
Okay.
Beetlejuice.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Obviously, I grew up a huge Beetlejuice fan because my dad took me and my brother and my sister to see it in the theater, and we just absolutely loved it. And the funny thing is, a lot of people don't realize that Beetlejuice is actually only in the film for 20 minutes, but he's so memorable as a character that I've grown up quoting lines from that, and just I remember I just thought it was so cool in 6th grade, which of course the teachers didn't think so, but when I would just be like, nice fucking bottle, honk honk. A few times got sent out in the hallway for that, but anyway. But no, so obviously there had been talk for a long time about a sequel.
Yeah. Beetlejuice goes to Hawaii.
Yeah, thank God that didn't happen.
Yeah, right.
And then, you know, there were ideas throughout the year, but like Winona Ryder, even when she did Stranger Things, says if Beetlejuice 2 happens, I have to be clear for that.
Yeah.
I'm stopped to be as many seasons as you want, but like I have to be clear for that. And luckily that happened. And like I said, where's this on your list out of curiosity?
You'll find out.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if it was your number 6, we could collaborate and talk.
It is not. Oh, I just told you my number 6.
Oh, are you number 5 even if it was your number 5?
It is not.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, is it as good as the first one? No, but most sequels aren't. So, I mean, but it's still, the good thing is a lot of the people fall back into their characters perfectly. Beetlejuice is still just as entertaining. Michael Keaton still got it. Winona Ryder, great. Jenna Ortega's a nice new character. Catherine O'Hara, of course, is great. They work around the Jeffrey Jones stuff.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, I won't go into that. But,
Yeah.
but they work that out pretty well in terms of being able to write his character off. Now, I think the only issues with it were just that there, once again, a few too many characters and storylines going on. Some didn't get probably enough focus, and some just got like, why do we need this here? Just get this out of here. We know
Right.
we didn't have this character we really would need. But I won't go into specifically who character. But like, well, I said
I will.
I know you will. Willem Dafoe's hilarious too.
Oh my
As
God,
a Scott
yes.
character, he's great because you know I'm a huge Willem Dafoe fan anyway. So he was in it. I'm like, fuck yeah. But no, there's some good things, some decent music numbers in there, and like I said, just Bob is great. Good old Bob. If you haven't seen the movie, love Bob. Justice for Bob. But yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff in the. They definitely go into the underworld a little bit more in this one too, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my number 6. It wasn't that I didn't, believe me, when it was first coming out, I'm like, it's gonna be my number 1 movie, I bet. But like as I said, a lot of my stuff was horror this year. So, but yeah, excellent film. Definitely check it out. I got it on DVD for Christmas. So, woot. All right, you're number 5, lady.
All right, a controversial pick, perhaps. My number 5 is Late Night with the Devil.
Oh, okay.
We didn't watch in theaters. We watched on streaming.
Yeah, on streaming.
And a really cool setup for a horror movie. It's like a 1970s. It was in the 70s talk show. David. God, I hope I say his name right. David Dastmalchian, who is like pops up in like everything.
Yeah, he's very much a character.
Yeah, but he gets to take the lead. He's the talk show host.
Yeah.
And he is interviewing amongst his guests is an interview with a little girl whose caretaker claims that she has been possessed by the devil. And one of the cool things about it is the build up to the interview, because it takes its time.
Yeah.
And it's on this 70s talk show, like, and if you watch any like old 70s talk shows like on YouTube or anything, like they're full of like weird colors and weird shapes and lots of beige. Like, it is not a setting for a horror film.
Right.
So the fact that they make it a setting for a horror film is really cool. There is some really cool lighting and camera tricks. David Dastmalchian gives a really good performance. The build up to the interview is like, it's just really well handled and well paced. So it was a lot of fun in that regard. My issue was with the ending, which I'm not going to get into too much, just because you may have thoughts, and I don't want to spoil them. But part of my problem with it is my problem with it's my same problem with found footage movies that fall into this trap, where it's like you've spent all this time setting up a very specific style of filming. For this, it's a talk show, where like the camera is still rolling whenever they cut to a commercial break. And then suddenly in the end, it becomes like this weird dream sequence. but it's not established like how they switched from one filming style to the next. So I found that really confusing, and it took me out of a little bit of the mood that they had spent all this time setting up, and it made the ending for me really confusing. I know what was going on, because like the beginning of it has like this sort of like a TV roll montage of the leading up to this episode, but so you kind of know where this is going, and once reveals are made in the ending, it's like yes, okay, but it was just like the filming structure of it that made it weird for me. Otherwise, I thought it was really good. I love the way they handled like the girl getting possessed by the devil, because it starts out as sort of Exorcist style stuff you've seen before. Yeah. You think 70s horror when you see it, and then it gets a lot more graphic, and they again, because this is a small budget film, they handled those practical effects really well. We're like, and especially like, and you have to in that kind of setting, like it has to look good, because we're supposed to buy into the idea, this is happening in real time on the set of a TV show. So like when people are getting like split in half and all that stuff, like and like the practical effect of it, like again, it looks really good. So you're kind of like, whoa, jeez. So yeah, so that's my number 5.
As we were going through that, I actually switched the order of.
Oh.
I actually put this as my number 5 now. I think I actually had it higher, but as you started talking, I'm like, that's a good point. But so I switched my number 5 and my number 3.
Okay.
So that way I can just jump into.
Cool. Yay!
Yeah, no, it was just one of those kind of like, when I was looking at because as you're going through it, I'm looking at my list. I'm like, well, maybe that one might get you. Yeah. So anyway, yes, to comment on Late Night with the Devil. On my thoughts. The interesting thing about David Dalsmalchian is that the first time I saw him was in The Dark Knight.
Yes,
he is the guy
me too.
that Harvey Dent kidnaps and is trying to get answers. That was him.
The guy with schizophrenia, yeah.
And then I've seen when things since then, he played the Polka Dot Man and the Suicide Squad, and of course he's on several horror films and all that. But this was one where he actually got to play the lead, which was super cool.
Yeah.
And he's really good. I also like the setting too, because it's very much that they're giving away that he's kind of failing as a talk show host. His ratings are going down. He's got family issues.
Yeah. And if I recall, the whole setup for the movie is that we the viewer are watching the tape of the last episode they ever shot,
right?
Because the devil came out and fucking killed people.
But anyway, he's dealing with all this. His manager's trying to get so they decide to bring out this girl who's been possessed basically, and with her mother and stuff like that. And then you had this guy as well, which you didn't mention, but this guy who's Mr. I'm a doubter. This is all bullshit.
Right,
this is all the Mr. Skeptic and all that.
Yeah.
And he's an interesting actor too. I thought he did a good job as well in terms of playing that. But you also kind of get hints throughout the movie that maybe to try to get ahead, he may have made some deals with some very shady people and playing off the Hollywood cultist darkness type of thing. Yeah. Which I think is what the dream sequence later I think is tying into. I think. I didn't have as much problem with the ending as you. It was a little confusing. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But no, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good acting, good practical effects. Definitely one of my favorite films of the year for sure.
Yeah.
Just because for what they worked with and all that. And I thought he was really good.
He was really good. Yeah.
If it was up to me, he'd be getting an Oscar nomination, but. Unfortunately, we have to give it to movies that 5 people saw.
Right.
Anyway,
because
and horror gets
since we're talking about it at the same time, I can bring this up. Because one of the things with his character is part of the reason his ratings were failing was because of the illness and death of his wife.
Right.
And so there's this idea that he's still grieving her while he's still like, you know, doing the whole like talk show.
Oh, a talk show! I'm so happy.
Facade thing, and you know, so there's layers to, and of course like the idea that he has that he might be part of a cult. You know, so there are layers to the performance, and I do want to reemphasize that the pacing was really, really well done. Like, it really does like pull you into, like, it's paced like a talk show.
Yeah.
And so like when things start going off the rails, like it does feel shocking, and it does, like the pacing of it is really, really well done, and that is why the ending threw me for such a loop. Because it's like you've spent all this time, like, again, like it opens with this whole idea that we're watching a tape of the last episode of a 70s talk show. Oh
my God, Burley, I'm kind of...
Yeah, and, you know, last episode of a 70s talk show, and that, yeah, and you spend all this time like pacing it like a talk show, and then so when it suddenly starts like becoming like his perspective specifically, and like the flashbacks, and they did kind of do like a TV show thing where they like pull a fake wall aside to see her hospital bed. But like when it starts getting to like into his mind, and it's not really specifying like it did before, that it's all like, oh, it's the devil fucking with the tape, it's the devil fucking with what we're seeing on camera, and it made it feel more like it was specifically his point of view, which is more like what we'd expect from like you know, the narrative of a regular film. That was what threw me so much, where it's all like, what, wait, what, because it wasn't made clear that that was my biggest issue with the film, was the way they handled that ending.
Yeah.
But otherwise, good stuff. Yeah.
Number 4 then.
Number 4. So my top 4, like I kept rearranging.
Yeah.
I couldn't fit like I would say all top 4 in my top 4 were really, really good.
Cool.
Like.
Yeah.
I don't really have, like, any nitty pickies I have are very nitty. So like,
these are very nitty.
The order of this, like, may change tomorrow, but this is how it is now. Number 4, Deadpool and Wolverine.
Okay.
I had a lot of fun watching this movie. It was so much fun. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman did a great job. Like you said, I love the fact that it was like a love letter to the Fox the Fox universe. I also liked the way they tied things into the MCU with the time stream
TVA.
and the TVA. It was great to see what's her name, B-15. Yeah, it was great to see her in the film from Loki. It was a great way to tie things together and make it feel cohesive to the MCU without like working at it too hard. And as well as to tie in all these other characters as well. I loved him like bouncing around from one time stream to the next, trying to find a Wolverine to help him out. And you meet like, you know, the short King Wolverine. The way he is in the comic books, he's drawn like a short, buff little dude, and Hugh Jackman is over 6 feet tall. So like when he jumps off the stool, it's like, comic book canon height. Who's a short king. And the Henry Cavill's cameo as a Wolverine, which actually made me kind of be like, I love Hugh Jackman. I'm glad he's like willing to come back. But it's also like, I also kind of want to see more of Henry Cavill's Wolverine. Can we have both? Emma Corrin did a great job as Cassandra Nova. They fit in without like losing their malice, which can be an issue in some of these MCU films as of late. as Deadpool mentions, you're coming in at a bit of a low point. But yeah, it was great to see them like weave their way through comic book canon and bring that to the big screen. The jokes worked, and it was fun. It was the biggest blast MCU has been for me in years. So
That's good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Your number.
I enjoyed it very much as I enjoyed No Way Home. That was another.
Oh yes, yeah. Probably, yeah. I would say in theaters.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite since No Way Home.
Yeah.
Spider-Man No Way Home.
Agreed.
Agreed.
All right, my number 4.
Your number 4.
My number 4 is an independent film that
Yay.
got some praise. It's called Oddity.
Oddity. My dad recommended this to us, and I have yet to watch it.
You should watch it.
I should watch it.
So it starts off. There's this kind of. He's got like 2 different colored eyes. He shows up to warn this woman at this. It's almost like this British castle that she's in. He's like, there's somebody in there. There's somebody that and you think they play it off like, oh, this guy's a creep. He's gonna be, but like, then she ends up getting killed and all that. That's kind of our opening scene, basically to establish things. Where her husband is a doctor and he works at this mental facility. I don't know what they call it these days. I'm not sure.
A mental facility.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure I'm being PC enough.
Yeah. I'm sorry, honey.
It's okay. Well, I'm just trying to be respectful.
Yes, exactly.
And then her sister goes to this castle, and this doctor has remarried now and stuff like that. And so there's this like weird interaction between the new wife and the sister. And the sister has this weird kind of like almost mannequin thing, but it's like looks so real, and like she keeps pulling things out of its head, and it's just like it's a weird, very eerie scene. But as the things start to unfold, you figure out. I don't want to give away too much either, but like you start to figure out like, oh well, this is, this was not as, it wasn't so much a creature that was doing this stuff, but you also start to see that like one of the main characters is really manipulating things the whole time and will literally sacrifice anybody to protect his own interests. But no, it's a really well made film. The acting is solid. It takes some nice twists and turns. It's got a nice atmosphere of creepiness to it, and some nice red herrings in there as well. But yeah, it's a really well made film. I think it was very, very well made, and I can see why your dad recommended it.
Yeah.
And that's my number 4.
Cool.
Number 3.
My number 3 is Beetlejuice.
Cool.
Yeah. I enjoyed it for a lot of the reasons you did. I did not see it in theaters. I was not old enough to see it in theaters.
That's fair.
But I did used to watch the Beetlejuice cartoon. And I came to love Beetlejuice because of the Beetlejuice cartoon. And so the fact that, and you already mentioned this, like with the, whole going into the afterlife thing.
Yeah.
The fact that we got to see more, like, creatures, in the afterlife, which, a lot of their designs are inspired from the cartoon.
Yep.
That was a lot of fun.
That's cool to have that included, yeah.
Yeah, I love the way that all our returning characters just fell right back into character, like no time had passed at all. Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder, and Catherine O'Hara did such an awesome job, like coming back into these roles.
Totally.
It was great to, again, as a fan of the cartoon, it was great to actually see Beetlejuice and Lydia on the same side for a little bit. Because in the cartoon, they're friends.
Yeah.
Like, from watching that and then watching the movie, I was all like, it was kind of like, wait, what do you mean he's the bad guy? it was such a whiplash. But, like, they did such a great job, like, coming into those characters.
Yeah, I would say I did that to split hairs, but
Sure.
I would say he's more, I wouldn't say an anti-hero, but like, he's Beetlejuice out for himself, more or less, but he's not like, I wouldn't say he's like dark evil, really. He's more just manipulative
in D&D terms, he is like pure neutral.
Yeah.
Neutral aligned character.
He'll help you out as long as it gets him what it needs to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah. Anyway, it was cool to see him and Lydia on the same side. It was, the designs were a lot of fun. It was like Lydia as this sort of like paranormal,
Yeah.
like that just felt right.
Oh, totally.
And
I dressed up in my Beetlejuice outfit when we went to the theater. And there were some other big Beetlejuice fans that were there. With cocktails we were waiting.
You looked so good.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
you're welcome. And yeah, it was really good. And the designs were really good. And the new characters who came in also just slid perfectly into this universe.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like you said, Jenna Ortega, Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe may have kind of stolen the movie for me.
I agree.
I want to see so much more of his character, whose name I'm sadly, what was it, like Dan Wolfe or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, like the B-movie action star who accidentally
Coffee.
like his backstory is he accidentally blew himself up on the set of one of his films, so now he just like walks around like he's just constantly in character.
Yep.
As the types of characters he would play in so yeah, coffee. Like giving inspiring speeches while reading them off of cue cards.
Yeah.
Part of his jaw and brain exposed the whole
Yeah.
time. It's so great.
Yeah, if they end up doing a third one, they gotta bring him
They
back.
gotta bring him back. Oh my gosh. And Monica Bellucci as Beetlejuice's wife.
Mhm.
Such a cool design.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, she looks so damn good.
Mm-hmm.
And it does unfortunately bring me into the downside of this. You already mentioned it, so I won't say too much about it.
Yeah.
There were some characters who needed more screen time, like Monica Bellucci. We needed more of her and less of the Justin Theroux character.
Yeah.
I felt.
I agree.
I was talking to my mom recently, and she was in defense of the Justin Theroux character.
Okay.
Because I was, because I was like, he didn't really need to be there because we already had this other character who fulfilled this role more effectively.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was defending him being there because she's like, no, he needs to be the stone around Lydia's neck.
Yeah.
Because that's part of her, like, moving forward is getting rid of him.
Yeah.
And he's like the personification of of what she needs to get rid of in order to move on with her life. And I'm like, okay, all right,
Yeah, I can see that.
that's a fair argument. So that's my number 3, Beetlejuice.
Cool. We're getting to the final 2, huh?
Did you say your number 3?
Oh, I didn't, did I?
You did not.
Oh, okay. My number 3 is Nosferatu. I think I have a feeling where this placed on yours. Anyway, we saw this on Christmas Day in the theater.
It's a Christmas movie.
Totally Christmassy. It has a really good cast. Robert Eggers always has a nice ambiance and stuff like that, especially when he goes to the castle and there's just this darkness, the road, and this carriage comes and gets him, and just then when you see Nosferatu for the first time, it's just like it's very, very creepy. Bill Skarsgård, of course, is good, as he often is. Unless he's in a Crow remake. Anyway, not his fault.
Not his fault.
Just bad movie. But no, and Lily Rose Depp is good. You definitely see Johnny Depp's eyes. When you see her, like,
she has her father's eyes.
And Willem Dafoe, once again, there he is again, playing the Van Helsing type role. And of course, he's excellent. Give that man an Oscar someday, for God's sakes. Frankly, should have gotten it for Shadow of the Vampire. But when he played Max Schreck, who was the original Nosferatu.
Yes.
It's a great movie. I need to see that. I've seen bits and pieces. Maybe we could put a scarecrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just a really well-made film. It definitely deserves some nominations, at the very least for like makeup and
effects,
and stuff like that. At the very least, if you're not going to go acting-wise. But no, good performances. Nicholas Hoult is good in the kind of Harker role. Yeah. But yeah, no, it gets graphic, but it doesn't get like, supreme body horror, supreme gore. It's more about kind of building the tension and building the scares and stuff like that.
Well, also being pretty graphic.
It was graphic, yeah. I'm not saying it wasn't, but like compared to like a Terrifier 3, it's not Terrifier 3. It's not there for the gore and it's more to build the story and
build suspense,
and all that. Yeah, so they do a really good job about that. So that was my number 3.
Cool. We have the same number 2.
Oh, that'll.
So we can talk about it together. It is
Long
Legs.
Yes. Well, you can start because this is
okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I'll just chime in periodically.
Yeah, this is the kind of like weird shit that I like.
That's my lady.
I like weird shit. Long Legs is it was getting a lot of like hype as like the scariest movie of the year, which automatically, well, fuck, if you have to live up to that kind of expectation. But I think it did a pretty decent job of doing so.
Oh, absolutely.
I liked the way that like the opening shots, like which in flashback, like they were using like these cropped shots. And then like open it up when it comes to present day day. It takes place in 1993, I think. Or like the fact that like it takes so long to actually see his face.
Oh yeah.
Like when it cuts to him, like this mash cut to him, and it's just his mouth.
Yeah.
Lost my legs. Oz Perkins has a very distinct eye for some really just bizarre shots, like the way he frames things. And it just creates like a feeling of dread. And the fact that like there's a jump scare that happens very early on in the film that is like, I remember it was, and I'm not someone who normally gets hit by jump scares pretty hard, but which is fine. But like that one, it was so early on, there was no warning for it, and I went in the theater, just like it was just so shocking. And then like once you have that out of the way, like you've established it, and then it's done, and then it's just like all this like just creepiness and creepy dread. And so like you're like, that could happen again at any time and you don't know. And so the fact that like that happens, and then like it really takes its time getting back into the story and like piecing together clues and finding things and like trying to solve this mystery, and that was really cool. That was a really cool way to like build tension. Or like all these shots of her like as she's reading, and like there'd be like some sort of like ambient noise. Sometimes she hears it. Sometimes she doesn't. We the audience always do. Or like or she'll be sitting there and there's like all these like black spaces behind her. And so, like, you always get the feeling like something is gonna, like, come out, like, is watching her, is gonna come out of the shadows towards her or something, like, just like, little things like that just, like, really made the creep factor. And what is the actress's name? She was from It Follows. One more time?
Micah Monroe.
Yeah. She did a really good job. So did Alicia Witt as her mom. Whew! Yeah. Okay,
her performance kind of reminded me of Julianne Moore's performance as Carrie's mom in that Carrie remake. The Carrie remake wasn't great, but she was pretty good.
She was good. Yeah. Where it's all like, oh, there's you need psychological help. Oh gosh, yeah, like especially when she's like keeps getting these phone calls from her, have you been praying, where it's all like and where it's setting up, oh okay, mom's kind of a deeply religious person, and like as the more you hear from her, it's all like, oh, mom's kind of like fixated, and then you meet her and it's like, oh, mom is deeply disturbed, and then more things happen and you're like, oh, mom So that was a really cool build. I would say the only thing that really lets the movie down is its ending.
Yeah.
The ending is kind of oh.
Yeah.
After we've done so much building up of all this tension, like it kind of like once that last moment happens and she realizes she's fallen into this trap, like it kind of just deflates those last few minutes, I felt. Which is why it's number 2 and not number 1. But otherwise, I thought it was really good.
Okay. Cool.
Sorry, I've talked a lot.
Yeah, geez. No, sorry. Yeah, I really liked it too. And if you didn't know, Oz Perkins is the son of Anthony Perkins, aka Norman Bates. He's an actor as well.
He was also Dorky Dan in Legally Blonde.
There you go.
Yeah, the really tall guy.
Yeah.
I loved him. It's so funny because.
So much for you not talking, huh?
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say this little bit because I had. Because, like, you know, her love interest in that film was Luke Wilkins. Yeah. But I was always
Luke
about.
Wilson.
Or Luke Wilson. Jesus, what did I say?
Luke Wilkins.
Well,
who's this Luke Wilkins?
I don't know. Luke Wilson. He doesn't matter, I guess, is my point. Because
he was on Stargirl.
He as a person does matter. I'm just saying the character never impressed me much because I was all about Dorky Dan. I thought he.
You like us dorky guys, huh?
I do. Like he reminds me of you actually in that film. But yeah, so I have enjoyed him ever since that film, and it's very cool that he's decided to go the path he went on. Sorry, it's
the floor is mine.
The floor is yours. Go for it.
Let you know. Fixate on Oz Perkins. All right, no,
it's not a fixation. It's not a fixation.
Anyway,
and he reminds me of you.
Oh, that's cool. It's like that football player from the Saints that reminded me.
Yeah.
That's funny. Anyway, yes, I too enjoyed this film. I was really looking forward to it when I saw the trailers because I liked what I liked about the trailers too is that they didn't give it away. You weren't clear what was going on. It wasn't like, oh well, I've seen the whole movie. I don't need to bother seeing that, but no. And like I said, it builds suspense well. And you didn't comment on one person's performance at all. Mr.
I did
Nicolas
not.
Cage.
Yeah. I thought you'd like to talk about it.
Okay, that's cool. So yeah, Nicolas Cage looks very... It's funny when you actually see him full on, he looks very much like the singer Tiny Tim in the face. Tiny Tim used to play ukulele. Like,
yeah, oh my gosh. Poor Tiny Tim.
He looks much more mangled than Tiny Tim, obviously. But with the hair and all that, it made
right. He, like, the sheen of his face, like, he looked like a burn victim. Like,
with
the way the sheen of his skin. Sorry.
Yeah. But, even that first thing with his teeth and all that is like he's and he gives a very he's very weird. Nicolas Cage just naturally is, and he does have some. They said there's definitely some creepy moments. You definitely like ooh, and then there's definitely some Cage moments. Like there's a scene where he goes into this general store or something like that.
Yeah, like a hardware store.
Yeah, and he's talking to this daughter or something like that, and she gets creeped out by him and says, "Mom, Dad,
the creepy guy's back."
And then as he's driving the car, he's just like, "Daddy, Mommy," and I'm like, "Oh, there's the Cage we know and love." But no, I think he does a good performance, and there's a brutal scene where she's interrogating him, where he just like bashes his fucking face.
God, that was so
and it's just
disgusting.
like, oh my god. But no, I agree. There's a lot of like those moments, like the jump scare, and then there's, like I said, those moments of just like, is something going to come out? Is he there? Is he gonna? You were waiting for it, but like that, I like that they did that because that's so many times with these jump scare type things, like something like The Nun or something. Like, oh, there they are!
Yeah.
Oh, there they are!
Right.
And it gets so overdone. You're just like, I mean, I still jump because I'm just the music gets me. I think is what gets me on the jump scare. But like, it's nice to be like, oh shit, maybe something's gonna happen. No. And then you have that kind of like unfeeling of dread, which is always good in a horror film. You can get that feeling of dread. Like I said, yeah, Micah Monroe. I've liked her since It Follows. So and she's done a lot of good movies. Anyway, and what else? Yeah, I would agree on the ending. I think it does kind of like. I heard he was kind of setting this up to be more than.
There's supposed to. Yeah, there's 2 more movies.
Yeah, so,
it's
I will at least
it's the
reserve
start of a
judgment
trilogy.
on the ending to see where it goes.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, Alicia Witt was quite good and obviously unbalanced in her character. But yeah, this is definitely it's definitely my number 2. But overall, like I said, I had a great time in the theater and it was really well done. And good stuff.
Cool.
Good stuff.
All right, number 1. We have different number 1s.
We do, yes. It's my number 1 you didn't see, so.
Yes. My number 1 is Nosferatu.
Fair point.
I will always love a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
I will always specifically love a Dracula story. I don't know why.
A lot of people like Dracula.
Yeah, I love a good Dracula story.
I'm a Wolfman guy myself.
You are a Wolfman guy, but I am a vampire girly. This is a really good take on Nosferatu. We've mentioned we talked about our favorite vampire movies in another video.
We did,
so please go watch it because I talk at length about.
We should do a werewolf one sometime.
I talk at length. Period. But no, I talk at length about my love for Dracula and for the Nosferatu films, and how Nosferatu, the original film, is a study in plagiarism, but also a landmark in cinematic horror. And so this film is basically a revamp.
Yeah.
Revamp from the 1922 Nosferatu, and I feel like also taking elements from the 1979 Nosferatu directed by Werner Herzog, as well, of course, from the book Dracula.
Right.
I found this film deeply disturbing, which I feel like I should. Count Orlok is portrayed as like this bringer of plague and sickness and death.
Yeah.
And he is literally rotting. Like, part of his brain is, like, once you actually get a good look at him, and it takes a long time to get a good look at him, but, like, part of his brain is exposed. He must stink. Like,
I believe it.
he is just so vile, in a myriad of ways. Like, physically, the way he approaches, Lily Rose Depp, just like the ultimate stalker, and or Ellen, her character's name is Ellen. And someone said something really salient about the difference between Count Dracula and Count Orlok.
Yeah.
Because there is a difference besides the physical. Count Dracula goes to London because he wants to dominate the Western world.
Yeah.
Count Orlok comes to Vespa, Germany, because he wants to dominate one woman.
Yep.
And that is pretty much his modus operandi. It is the entire thrust of his character, and it is creepy as hell, because not only is he wrecking her life, but he is wrecking the lives of everyone around her. Her husband, her friends, just the people who live in the same town as her.
The cat lives.
But the cat lives.
Thumbs up. 2 thumbs up.
So, and I've also, and this is something I think that's inherent to the Herzog version of Nosferatu, is this idea that when Count Orlok arrives in town, like, he basically brings the plague with him, and the townspeople start dropping off.
Yep.
And they bring it into this film too. And it's really well done. It's really creepy. Something that I think is, in terms of Nosferatu films, is original to this one in particular, but also shows up in Bram Stoker's writings, is the focus on Ellen specifically as a woman who is being victimized by this vampire. And the way people react to a woman being victimized, somehow it's her fault.
Especially in those days, right?
Yeah. Like, and they
Yeah.
go into it at length
Yeah.
in several scenes.
Yeah.
Somehow this is her fault. She's hysterical. She needs to be tied to the bed so she doesn't thrash around too much. We need to keep her in her corset so she doesn't breathe too heavily. There's all these like time, 19th century constraints that they really bring to the forefront to be like, oh, she is like, not only is she being stalked, but she's being like fucking trapped by like everyone around her. And he's in her head, and he gets in her husband's head, to like try to pit them against each other.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, it's not only a physical presence that he has, it's a psychological presence too. And it's it's creepy as hell, and fucking weird, but it's also, really effectively portrayed in the film. Bill Skarsgård does a great job. Lily Rose Depp does a great job. Nicholas Hoult does a great job. One of the things that was also interesting to me is they avoid the neck
Yeah.
cliche, and instead he bites them on the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just in case you're missing the whole sex allegory, there's a part where he attacks Nicholas Holt's character. He's pinned him to the floor. He's bitten his heart. And then we get a wide shot of him literally humping his prone body as he's drinking his blood. So it's all like, yeah, we're not getting, and it's not even like sexual or erotic or anything. It's just vile because he is violating this person. And so like, yeah, it definitely like goes that way into vampire lore, and it does it so well.
It's kind of like, it's interesting because that scene was like reminiscent of what you would normally have in a Dracula story with his brides, but instead him doing
It's him.
Yeah,
Which is also a little bit of trivia from the Bela Lugosi Dracula. And I mentioned this before. I don't care. I'm going to talk about it anyway. It was while they were shooting that, they shot a Spanish version at the same time, and the Spanish version stuck very specifically to the Spanish translation of the shooting script.
Okay.
And in that shooting script, because this was it was filmed in 1930, early 1931, and there may not have been a Hays Code yet, but there was a Hays office that approved or disapproved of certain elements that you put on film.
Yeah.
And they really did not like the idea of one man biting another man's neck.
Yeah.
So in the shooting script, they had the vampire vixens come and attack Renfield.
Yeah.
And because no homo. And so that was the way they did not want that element in it at all. So in the Spanish version, he gets attacked by the vixens, and in the next scene, for some reason, he is Dracula's slave, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
Which is the issue that director Todd Browning brought up. He's like, this makes no sense. Dracula has to be the one to bite him. Otherwise, he's just going to hang out in the castle being the vixen slaves.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be Dracula's slave.
Right.
And so, and apparently the Hays office sent the set back a memo that may be one of the most heteronormative things ever put down on paper, which is, Dracula only bites girls. And so in the film, like you see, like Bela Lugosi gets very, very close to his neck, but they cut to black before he actually bites Renfield. Of course, they do that for all the bites, but anyway, that ties into this, where it's all like, no, we're going there.
We're going there, yeah.
Bram Stoker went there. It's in the book.
Yeah.
We're going there.
Now that you're off your
Now that I'm
Dracula
off my
soapbox.
Dracula soapbox, I love that this was a Christmas movie. I love it. You're number one.
Nosferatu's a Christmas movie.
Nosferatu's a Christmas movie.
All right. So up until about a week ago, I think one of these other films would have been my number one.
Mm-hmm.
But then I watched The Substance last week. Fantastic film. Good performances from Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley. Dennis Quaid is good as the sleazy Hollywood agent. And this is a very good commentary in addition to all the body horror that they have.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good commentary on ageism for women, especially in Hollywood. About like, you know, how like, oh well, now we're just gonna put you in the background, or you need to get this makeup, or you need to get this, you know, and so it starts off basically with Demi Moore's character. She has a star in Hollywood and all that stuff, but like she's aging out and she's got a workout show and all that, and so they're trying to phase her out and all that, and then she actually gets in a car accident, and she's okay. But like the doctor like looks at her back and says, "Oh, you're a good candidate for it," you know, and then like leaves her this card that basically is this kind of very what do they call it? Black market, yeah, like very much this black market substance, which basically the idea is you have several little things that you inject in yourself, and for 7 days you can create another version of yourself. A younger version of yourself, whatever the case. And so after some thinking about it, she ends up doing it. And that opening scene when the other person is coming out of her is very graphically body horror, very much out of a Cronenberg type film. And so basically the rule of thumb is that like each of them has 7 days before they have to like basically recalibrate and
Go back to being
being the other person and all that. So Margaret Qualley kind of takes over a little bit for 7 days and becomes the new star of the workout show, and they're all really like praising her and all that, and of course saying, remember, everything has to, remember, gotta smile, you know, which is, you know, the condescending thing they say to women all the time. But then obviously, as a horror film goes, it takes a turn, and Margaret Qualley's character starts to like go longer than 7 days, which starts to physically affect Demi Moore's character. So she starts to age a bit. She starts having like her finger starts getting all like almost just like decrepit, almost like it's like
arthritic.
Yeah, very arthritic, very almost like she almost has like a witch's finger, like one of those like really creepy, and gradually like more and more or whatever, like, you know, and then Demi Moore will start to do things to try to fuck with Margaret Qualley's character, like she will like totally like binge eat and shit like that, so like she ends up having like, you know, weird things when she's doing the workout where like it'll just like her belly will pop out and stuff like that during the middle of it, and they like to stop, like, let's stop the camera there real quick. And yeah, it gets to a point where Demi Moore's character is like been taken advantage of so much that she is in this kind of like almost like hunchback old, and she's got this old woman makeup on too or whatever. So you've gone from like at the beginning of the movie you see Demi Moore naked, and she's in her 60s and she looks great. I'll say it right now, she looks great. But like not to be reversed, just saying, well, yeah. But like they do like what you would think a 6-year-old woman would look like, or an old grandmother or something like that would look like. Would be like this old decrepit lady, and she can barely, you know, and she, you know, and there's like nasty pus and things like, you know, it's like I said, it goes
not
for the body.
normal for a
no, but like
6 person.
So like she keeps trying to. She finally gets to a point where she can call, and it's like they say, well, you at any point, if you want this to stop, just say you stop. We will send you a thing, and you basically just stab her with it, and then she will go away and you'll go back to your old life. But I think the difference, I think the one thing is that she can't go back to how she looked. So like she can't go back to how she looked as Demi Moore even in her 60s. So she's kind of stuck in this decrepit state. So she's getting ready, and she does actually inject the thing, but then she looks at the poster of Margaret Qualley's character, and she's supposed to host this big New Year's thing. So this is a big break for her. And so she kind of like backs away, but then Margaret Qualley pops up, sees her doing this, and then just like fucking throws her across the fucking room, and like she's like fucking pounding bullshit. I mean, she's getting ready to do all this stuff. And then she ends up like just kind of leaving her there for basically for dead. And then she goes to the New Year's show, but because of everything that's been happening, her tooth actually falls out, and then she's supposed to make this big appearance. So she goes back, and stupidly, just to go this way, and by the way, full spoilers if you haven't seen it, so sorry. And
like me.
Yeah, well, whatever.
It's okay. Yeah, I'll still watch it.
Yeah, but anyway, so she got this big New Year's thing. So she makes the stupid mistake of going like, well, what if I injected myself and made another me to make myself? Because she's all, like I said, she's lost some teeth. She's got like other things going on. I think her hand is kind of busted. Like there was a moment where I thought she was gonna peel her nail off, which they did it in The Fly, and I literally no, and then it ended up being something else that fell off instead.
Something else.
Well, no, I think it might have been her arm or something, but like, so she's literally like, it's funny. It's funny too, though,
she's
because
literally falling apart.
Yeah, it's funny too because these people like come up to her like, oh, you gotta be ready, and she's literally hiding the fact that her arm is dangling, and she's doing a really good job of hiding it. Like no one notices it at all. So anyway, she goes and she injects the thing, and then it's funny because she actually ends up like being more grotesque looking than Demi Moore did. It's the point, like, she has Demi Moore's face, like, on her back, and then she's, like, almost very much like, oh, what would you, like, have you ever seen the movie Nothing But Trouble? The one with Chubby Cheeks? You know, with the big mongoloid characters that are in it towards the end? Vaguely.
Dan Aykroyd's in that, too.
Yeah,
right?
Dan Aykroyd plays the judge, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But there's those big, it's very much like that. Like,
okay.
That's, and, like, the makeup effects and special and practical effects are really well done in this movie. And so it's funny though because she sees how grotesque her face is. So she actually takes an old picture of Demi Moore and pulls a Deadpool Hugh Jackman and puts it on her
like
face.
Staples it to her
and she's
face.
got it on her face and she's walking by all these people and they are still acknowledging that there is absolutely nothing wrong with this woman. Like, oh, she looks beautiful. Look at her face, you know. And then it goes into the point that she's trying to sing, and like, of course, she can't sing. She's mangled and all that.
Yeah.
And like, she's fine until the thing peels off, and then everyone, of course, freaks out, and then and then she just kind of essentially explodes, you know.
Dang.
And like everybody, of course, freaks out then, and
yeah,
of course, and like, but like, yeah, and it was, yeah. Like I said, it gets very. Like I said, there's a lot of body horror. There's a lot of good commentary, of course, and good performances, and it's a strange ending too. But no, I said Demi Moore absolutely deserved awards for that. I hope she gets the fucking Oscar because this is definitely a career best, and she's a good actress anyway. But like, it's definitely a nice, good movie for her. Margaret Qualley's got a lot of talent too. She's Andie MacDowell's daughter. If people didn't know that, Andie MacDowell, of course, actress. So yeah, I would say that would
Groundhog
be like
Day.
Yeah, but like I said, this is the practical effects. Also, a female director too.
Yes.
Hopefully, she'll get some recognition because she did a great job. Like I said, very Cronenberg, but there's also some good commentary. There's also some good performances.
Yeah.
There's some good like practical effects.
Right.
Use of the body horror.
Because I've seen some criticism. I have not seen the film.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some criticism being all like, I just don't understand why she would do this to herself, and it's all like. Have you seen the way people talk about women? Mm-hmm. Like,
have you seen?
Women are not allowed to age. Women are not allowed to gain weight. Women are not allowed to like.
Yeah, look at like Tara Reid and those botched plastic surgeries.
Yeah,
and, like, several other like Pamela Anderson, things like that have been like.
Yeah, Pamela Anderson just being all like, I'm just gonna stop wearing makeup.
Yeah, good for her.
Really, yes.
Yeah.
Or like something like what happened to Tara Reid, where I think it was like it was a botched plastic surgery where they like fucked up her nipple.
Yeah.
And because God, the 2000s were such an awful time.
Oh yeah. It's Hollywood.
Yeah, right. But yeah, like because like I think it was like the shot was like, let's make fun of her for it, not be all like, oh, like, you know,
they were very mean-spirited.
Yeah, the reactions were just very mean-spirited. Like, it's like,
well,
that's not funny.
People were watching Jackass and thinking it was funny.
Yeah.
I just thought it was stupid, but
yeah. Or what was that, Gawker?
Gawker,
website?
yeah. That's how Hulk Hogan got caught with his little thing.
I mean, but like, also their bread and butter was just like ripping people to shreds for no reason.
Yeah, and well, you know,
especially women.
Yeah, Amanda Bynes, you got Lindsay Lohan. Yeah, there's you could just go Britney Spears. I mean, there's tons of. I mean, and look, are we all at some point guilty of mocking someone without knowing all the situations?
Yeah,
absolutely. You know, when the Britney thing was going on, it's like, oh God, Britney meltdown. You know, she's shaving her head. What's up with, you know?
Right.
But like, you know, now that you look back on things with more knowledge, now that you look back and you see the things with Weinstein and all that stuff, you know, and see some of the crazy stuff that comes out about Hollywood, it's just like, no, this is. I'm glad that much like Promising Young Woman, it was a movie that made me really think about how we treat women in this country, and how we need to be more respectful and understand that just because someone gets older and doesn't look exactly like they did in the 20s doesn't mean that they should not be working.
Right.
You know?
Or that they're not worthwhile.
Yeah.
It's like, when someone has been put in this space where it's all like, this is your value, is how you look right now at age 22.
Right.
And once you no longer look like you're 22, you will lose all value. Like, of course you're going to do whatever you can to maintain.
Let me just say, Helen Mirren looks better than some of the 20-year-olds out there. So
Helen Mirren, oh my gosh, she has aged like a fine wine. My gosh.
And I mean,
plenty of women have aged like a fine wine.
Elizabeth Shue still looks good too.
She does, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's in her 50s or something, right? Or something. Yeah, it's like, I mean, so it's like.
There are plenty of women who have like they're just aging.
Yeah, it's natural. And age too. It's like,
exactly.
They don't get as much criticism.
Yeah.
It's like.
Like women can be silver foxes too.
Yeah.
Silver.
I'm working on the
silver,
salt and pepper right now.
Yeah, salt and pepper, baby.
Someday I'll be silver fox.
Yeah, silver vixens. Like, like it's totally
that's
like
totally cool.
And but like it's one of those things where it's like, because it was so specific. Again, I want to see this movie. Because it's like it's such a specific commentary and such a specific horror, like that's what makes good horror.
Yes, exactly.
And that's why I feel like it had such an impression, and that's why I want to see it. So cool.
I'll watch
good stuff, honey.
Honestly, most of these movies on my list I would watch again.
Exactly. Yeah, me too.
So it's like
me too.
Because you know sometimes it's like you'll watch a movie, it's like, especially if it's something that was Oscar nominated or something like that. And you watch a movie and it's like, okay, well I saw that. I never really need to watch it again.
I feel like everything in my top 5 at least, if not everything, period. Are huge rewatch value.
Yeah.
Like all my whole top 5.
Excellent.
Yes.
All right. Well, we've talked for quite a while, as we do on these things. But hey, we're going to do a little longer video once in a while, you know. Can't always be a pun of the day, you know.
Yeah.
Although we do enjoy doing that. I guess I enjoy doing that. But we'll try to do more with you on the channel.
Yay.
You should have your own little thing going on.
Oh, thanks.
Figure something out. Figure a talent. No,
Yeah. Figure a talent.
No, you're talented.
Thank you.
We actually love each other despite our little fight.
Oh God, I'm sorry.
We love each other so much.
All right, all right, we're ready to wrap up?
Yep. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks, guys.
And have a good one.
Yep. Be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. Bye.